We're talking about market research and understanding your product, what it is that you're selling, understanding the competition, and several additional ideas on understanding your competitors. One of the best tools that I like to use for looking at the competition is what's referred to as a competitive matrix. You have a copy of this in your notebook. Competitive matrix. We identify on the vertical axis, we identify each of our competitors, competitor A, competitor B, competitor C. And then across the horizontal axis, we look at each of those competitors in several different ways. Like, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What is their pricing? What are their competitive advantages? We look at all the key factors that we compete on and identify those for each competitor, so that on one page we have all this information, all this data that can't help but help us make better marketing decisions, because now we're making those decisions based on what our competitors are doing and how we differentiate ourselves versus our competitors. Recently heard a term as it relates to competitors. It was co-opetition. Co-opetition. The idea is, how can we find ways not only of working against our competitors, how can we find ways to work with our competitors? Co-opetition. Early on, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I didn't do much with my competitors, because they were my enemies, right? They were the bad guys. And then I found out something interesting. As I got to know my competitors, they weren't such bad people. In fact, they were pretty nice folks. And I used to spend time. I'd go to breakfast. I'd take one out to lunch, and I'd ask them questions like, well, how have you built such a great system for operating your business? How do you get such great clients? How do you hire such good people? I'd ask them questions, and they would answer those questions. They would tell me how they found such good people and had such good customers. I'd be taking good mental notes. I was amazed how much I could learn just meeting and spending time with my competitors. President Lincoln was famous for saying in his book, Team of Rivals, "Do we not destroy our enemies when we make them our friends?" Do we not destroy our enemies when we make them our friends? So that's the idea behind co-opetition, looking for ways to work with our competitors. Maybe it's working together in terms of holding a job fair, or some type of training opportunity where we invite our competitors come in and participate. Co-opetition. Simon Sinek, in one of his books, makes a point of, he says, find a worthy rival. And that allows us, once we've identified a worthy rival, a competitor, to say, okay, how do we get there? How do we become that? Something else I heard recently that I thought was really interesting as it relates to competition. It said, you are competing with the last best experience that your customer has had. So let's just say that I own a barber shop, and maybe my customer has just come from a really nice restaurant where he had lunch to now my barber shop. Well, in some way, he's going to be comparing that experience at the restaurant with the experience he now is going to have at my barber shop. You're competing with the last best experience that your customers had. That really expands what we're thinking about in terms of competition and the experience that we want to create for our customers.